Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. If you find your sweet peas are getting a little bit tangled, like this lot here, this is an ideal time to be tying them up. Now, I do mine just under here, 2 pots, and I train them up 1 trellis. Now, I do try and get them to spread across so they self-support themselves. Didn't work last year, but the year before we had a nice little display that went all the way up to the top there. So all I've done is I've detangled them, because obviously they send out the same as peas, these little tendrils which latch on to anything. So I'm going to try and tie these, just tie them in generally. Work my way along. Trying to be careful not to snap any. And then we'll tie that first section off. In there. You don't need them tight, loosely is fine. And then we move on to the next section. Now these expanding trellises, I use the little knuckles to tie the twines on and loop them around like so. So I'll get these done and I'll show you when I'm finished. There you go. All tied up. They do look a bit under the weather, shall we say, but it's because they've been pulled around. Give them a little drink, give them a little feed, and they'll be fine. And the further up they go, the more ties I'll put on them. On to the next job. Now what I'm tending to find at the moment is with tall flowers, we have a little bit of rain and they all tend to just flop on the floor. So I like to use these hoops, which are ideal for holding up tall plants. And all we got is a bamboo cane, and you just poke them up the middle, like so. Get your desired height, which will probably be about there. By the time I bang it in the ground, yeah, let's get that banged in. Right, that's in. Now the little tricky job of trying to ease this down. I'm not too worried about that one at the moment. And catch the flowers. As we go down. Try and get rid of that. That needs cutting back. Just pull them through slightly. That's it. Right, there's the one that's fell over. We'll get that in there. Oh, there's one that got away there. Should be able to poke that in there. That's it, keeps them off the grass. I'll cut that off there, put a little cap on the top. On to the next one. I might just add, these are very good. I've had these a few years now, and they seem to last pretty well. I can't remember where I got them from. What's written on there? It's got lift 30 inches, whatever that means. So there you go. Now it's got a little bit cooler. If you watched my last video, you would have seen that the carrots that I sowed in there and some other things in there got fried and died. The reason being is, I don't know if you've been picking up on things with the way the sun movement, but the sun seems to be coming up and going down slightly different places each year. And even though I put a little bit of shading on the greenhouse, the sun is still coming down and it's getting very, very hot in there. And it seems to be cooking everything. So I'm going to put some more on. I'm going to be putting a little bit more shading, probably about halfway up on this side and the same on the front side. And all we use is something called cool glass. It comes in a powder form. You mix it with water. It says you make a little paste to start with, and then sort of top up the water to a nice consistency. A little bit like cooking, really. But yeah, I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll be back in a bit. Now, I'm not going to worry about making a paste. A little bit of water in the bottom of a jug. Pop it in. And give it a very good stir. Now, I will let this settle for about 5 minutes before I put it on. All good. Okay, that's that done. Let me show you from the inside of the greenhouse. It's a bit easier. Excuse the mess. So what we've done, we had these windows done already, and I've just gone halfway up the second ones, like so. Now, I haven't gone as heavy up here as I have down there and down the bottom there. So it still lets the light in, shades some of the heat. We'll see how that goes. Now, there is a couple of different ways you can shade your greenhouse. One of which you can tie bamboo across the top there like a little trellis and roll it down the side. That works fine, but I do find, and I did try this around 5-6 years ago, it does harbour pests. If you leave it down all day, all the bugs and all the little nasty things get in between it, and when you open your window, they're in the greenhouse. So I didn't worry about that after that. That was a no-go. That was a bad experience for me, to be quite honest. So yeah, that's another little job that needed doing. Hopefully it'll work. One job I'm not going to get round to doing today is taking out all these suckers from underneath this cob nut tree. That's a little job for another day. Now I've got the beam frame up. Now, the construction for this was quite simple. We've got 6 8-foot canes. One 6-foot cane across the top, but you can use whatever size cane depending on how wide your beans are going to be. We put 2 at diagonal across here and 2 at the bottom. Quite simple really. We cable tie these in, well I do anyway, for the simple reason is I do like to have a little sunflower, or rather a big sunflower, growing here. Now we did have I think it was last year or the year before, that we had a lot of wind and it all collapsed because I was using the twine. So we cable tied this together, reinforced it, and with a bit of luck that is going nowhere. So we use natural twine which breaks down. We tie them on that side like so, and I bring them over the top, and I like to double loop them. Just tension them slightly, double loop them, bring them down, and do my little fancy knot at the bottom. So I've done some already up there. Now, you're never going to get it perfect because as you work your way along, your tensions are not going to be the same. So you always end up with a couple of taut ones and some that are quite loose. So all I'm going to do with that, I'm going to tie this into there, just for a little bit of extra stability. And the added benefit of double looping them at the top, it tends to, I find that it holds them in a bit better. So, tie them off down there. I must admit I was never a Boy Scout, but it's amazing that you learn knots over the years. Another one down the bottom there, last one. Let's tie that off. It's nice. Then I'll just cut off the loose bits down the bottom. All done. Now I will be digging a little trench in the bottom and putting in some compost waste, and I will be covering it with a bit of netting, chicken mesh. I think it's the best idea. Just to stop the rats and mice or whatever picking it out and taking it off. So yeah, that's how I do my beam frames. Hope you enjoyed. Like I say, just a quickie. I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.